Well, Tennessee doesn't have to travel too far for its bowl destination back in Nashville for the Music City Bowl. And though the Music City Bowl puts on a fine show, it is a bit disappointing for the Big Orange.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, good Monday morning, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Vols, your home for Tennessee football news and entertainment. Weekday mornings when you wake up, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you in part by our friends over at Game Time, where you can download the app, create an account, put in the redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. A big shout out to Game Time. All right, I am your host, Eric Cain. So happy to have you guys along for the ride here today. Joining us here on a Monday morning, you can follow the show at _Cain or at Locked On Vols. Of course, tomorrow is a mailbag edition of the show, so please send in those questions, comments, concerns at _Cainer and at Locked On Vols. And of course, you can comment on this episode on the YouTube channel. Got a fun show coming up here today. Man, the college football playoff criteria for selecting the 12 teams is so flawed. It's so bad. Hey, correct me if you've heard this before, right? College football is so flawed, right? It's so incredibly flawed, but we love it so much, and it's so entertaining. But I'm going to go on a little bit of a mini rant here in segment number 3 that has nothing to do with the Tennessee Volunteers, so stick around for that. I just cannot believe the selection committee, the criteria, and all that. And again, that was all announced yesterday, but that's coming up in segment number 3. Tennessee's history in the Music City Bowl, it feels like there's always something big that happens, whether it's history or a new rule that's created or drama. Tennessee, how it's fared in the Music City Bowl coming up in segment number 2. A quick scout on the Fighting Illini for Tennessee's opponent in the Music City Bowl, and overall thoughts on Tennessee getting into the Music City Bowl happening right now as we begin this episode of Locked On Vols, a part of Locked On Podcast Network, your number one sports podcasting network out there. Tennessee going back to Nashville to the Music City Bowl. And again, I said this in the cold open, I think the Music City Bowl does a fine job, puts on a really, really good show. It's very well run, but it is a bummer to be there. And you want to be in the college football playoff. That's why if you don't make the college football playoff, it's almost like it's boom or bust, right? It's CFP or bust. And we're kind of feeling the bust right now, especially because you're not in Orlando, or you're not in Tampa, or you're not in Jacksonville. There's no true pecking order of bowl games, but there is, right? I mean, they will say there's no true 1A, 1B, 1C or whatever, but there is. If you're not in the college football playoff, if you're not in the New Year's 6 bowls, Citrus is where you want to be. And then it's probably Tampa. And then outside of that, you can really take your pick between Nashville, Jacksonville, or Charlotte. Many would probably prefer Jacksonville because it's the state of Florida and, the end of December, first of the year, or whatever. There's games in Charlotte and of course, Nashville. And then there's probably the Liberty Bowl. Texas Bowl is also probably a tier down. Tennessee's going back to the Music City Bowl. Tennessee's played there 3 times. It's over there in Nashville. And I think part of the disappointment is, Tennessee plays in Nashville quite a bit, right? Tennessee opened the season there to begin the 2023 campaign. Tennessee's played a couple of different neutral site games in Nashville over the years. Tennessee basketball played there over the weekend against Illinois, by the way. Again, Nashville's a great city. It's the capital of this great state. A lot of great people there. Tennessee recruits Nashville very well. But in terms of going bowling, if you're not playing in the college football playoff, you'd much rather go somewhere else, in my opinion. So, yeah, I thought in conversating and speaking with some people last week, I kind of thought that Nashville really wasn't in play. I thought it was going to be either Tampa if Tennessee were to have won against Vanderbilt. If Tennessee lost, sure, Nashville was in play, but probably Jacksonville. But, of course, over the course of the 2 weeks, there's been a lot of games played, and that obviously alters some things. So Tennessee is going to be playing Illinois in the Music City Bowl on Tuesday, December the 30th at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 4:30 local time. So, of course, we'll be there, have coverage for you. We'll do a post-game show, all that. But Tennessee going back to Music City Bowl, a lot of fans are not happy about it. A lot of fans very displeased about it in year 5 of the Josh Heupel era. I mean, when you've won 10 games multiple times already in 4 years, when you've gone to the college football playoff just as recently as last year, when you have been to an Orange Bowl, heck, you've been to a Citrus Bowl, and you've had all this good success, anything outside of that was going to be like, are you kidding me? What a regression. Are you kidding me? Heupel's lost the program. That's just kind of facts of the matter, right? So I've seen a lot of people really frustrated citing year 5 of the Music City Bowl, and I mean, it is what it is, right? A lot of times, I mean, here's the thing. Any bowl wants Tennessee because Tennessee fans will travel. Certainly Nashville, it's not like you have to travel far. But like Nashville, last time Tennessee was in the Music City Bowl was 2021, and Tennessee finished that regular season with 7 wins. Tennessee got to Orlando with 8 wins. Tennessee got to the Orange Bowl with 10 wins. Tennessee got to the CFP with 10 wins. So again, I kind of get the frustrations there, but also the SEC behind the scenes kind of politics for their teams as well. Texas did not make the college football playoff, so Texas was obviously going to go probably to Orlando, right? Vanderbilt was an appealing team, a kind of a story, a good story in college football. I think it was appealing to Orlando, and I think Vanderbilt ended up in Tampa for the ReliaQuest Bowl. I know LSU is in Texas for the Texas Bowl. Missouri is in Charlotte, I believe. Who's in, or maybe Missouri's in Gator Bowl. I can't remember off the top of my head. I apologize. I don't have the list in front of me. But Tennessee is going to play Illinois, the Fighting Illini, in the Music City Bowl. And just a quick glance at who Illinois is. Here's what you got. And we'll talk to a lot of people in the Big Ten. We'll talk to people who cover the Fighting Illini over the nenext month or so. Again, we've got some time. But here's a quick glance on who Illinois is. Well, just like Tennessee, who finished 8-4, Illinois finished 8-4, 5-4 in Big Ten play. Remember, they played 9 conference games. The SEC, of course, is going to that next year. Bret Bielema, who's been around the block a time or two, I think is a fan favorite. I think a lot of people like him, not just Illini fans, but college football fans. He's had some experience in the Southeastern Conference as well. He's in his 5th season, much like Josh Heupel. He's 36-26, whereas Heupel's 44-18 at the end of his 5th season. At the time of this recording, I have not found a line out there by FanDuel Sportsbook for this bowl. Of course, that'll come up in the weeks ahead, I would imagine. Illinois began the season 5-1. The first half of the year was really good, right? 5-1. The only loss, man, they took it on the chin too, to at the time number 19 Indiana, which of course is number 2 last week when it played number 1 Ohio State in the college football playoff. Indiana, number 19 at the time, and they finished beating Illinois 63-10. And of course, with that win in the Big Ten championship, Indiana is the number 1 overall seed in the college football playoff. Also had ranked wins. It had a ranked win over number 21 at the time, USC, 34-32. Had wins over Western Illinois, Duke, who actually won the ACC championship game. I watched that game on Saturday night. Western Michigan and Purdue. Second half of the season's when they kind of struggled a little bit. Went 3-3. They had wins over Rutgers, Maryland, and Northwestern, so nobody of importance. They lost to, at the time, number 1, now number 2, Ohio State, Washington on the road, and Wisconsin. Lost to Wisconsin. They were 1-2 against ranked opponents this year. They did finish the year winning 3 of their last 4 ball games. Again, he's 8-4 this year. Bielema last year was 10-3, had a 21-17 win over South Carolina when him and Shane Beamer were about to throw down in the Citrus Bowl. That was really, really fun to watch from afar. Also took the Illini to the ReliaQuest Bowl in 2022, coming up short to Mississippi State, 19-10. We know how Tennessee got here, of course. You look quickly at Illinois' offense. They finished 7th in the Big Ten, 29.3 points per game. 370 yards of total offense, that's 9th. 239 yards passing, that's 8th. 131 yards rushing, that's 13th. They've turned the football over 11 times. They're 41% on third downs. They're 61% scoring touchdowns in the red zone. The offense, however, has given up 27 sacks. Luke Altmaier, you might know his name. He began his career at Ole Miss in the SEC. Been really good for Illinois this year. 2,800 yards passing, 21 touchdowns, 5 picks. He's rushed for 4 more scores. If not for the 27 sacks given up by Illinois, he would have 441 yards rushing, but after that, he's only netted 188 yards. They split the carries in the backfield. Khalil Valentine and Caden Fegan. Valentine, 549 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns. Fegan, who's 6'3", 255 pounds, 499 yards, 7 touchdowns. That screams Big Ten-style running back right there. You've got Hank Beatty, who is the go-to guy through the air. 64 receptions, that's 3rd in the Big Ten. 826 yards. That's fifth in the Big Ten. He's also scored 3 touchdowns. They play a lot of tight ends as well. 5 tight ends have seen action on offense this year. They will go 12 personnel. They'll even go 13 personnel at times. Quickly, you look at the defense, 12th in scoring in the Big Ten, 23.3 points per game allowed. They allow 351 yards of total offense. That's 13th. 226 yards through the air. That's 16th. 124 yards on the ground. That's 9th. They created 15 takeaways. Opponents are 45% on third downs. Opponents are scoring touchdowns in the red zone at 64%. The defense has sacked the quarterback 27 times, 62 TFLs, 6 interceptions. We'll talk about this more as the month goes along. I do want to mention this real quick, though. The defense is multiple, as is everybody. But they operate out of a base 3-4, and oftentimes they go 46. That is old school, right? To combat the H-backs and the tight ends and the fullbacks and the 23 personnels and all that. That's not going to be what they line up in most of the time because Tennessee spreads it out with 11 personnel, and they will have to adjust. But they do operate out of a base 3-4, and I'm not going to get too much into the personnel because we're out of time here in segment number 1, but a guy's name that you need to know, and that is Gabe Jacas. Gabe Jacas leads the team with 11 sacks, has tied for the most in the Big Ten, and he has 13 and a half TFLs. He is an outside linebacker, a pass rusher, and a guy that Tennessee, of course, will have to game plan for. That is a quick glance at the Fighting Illini, Tennessee's opponent in the Music City Bowl, coming up on Tuesday, December the 30th at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. What are your thoughts on Tennessee and the Music City Bowl? I think I have a good idea, but let me know at _Cain on Locked On Vols. Would love to hear from you guys on the Mailbag Show. That is coming up tomorrow right here on your Locked On Vols. Stay tuned. The World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994. And with 48 teams for the first time ever, it's going to be massive. But let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's why Game Time app is so clutch, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Game Time, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when the great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. You pull up the app, and the layout makes it super simple to scroll through matchups and compare the seat views from one seat to the other. Pick a game, tap a section, and your tickets are loaded within minutes. No confusion, no hunting for that fine print. What you see is what you pay for. Alerts for teams and matches make it easy to grab tickets for the moment they drop instead of missing out. Take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets right now, every match, concert, or event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, put in the redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download that app, make an account, use the redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. What if I told you that the Tennessee Volunteers are 1-2 in the Music City Bowl? Would you believe me? Well, I mean, it's kind of shocking. I know the bowl hadn't been around forever, but it's kind of shocking Tennessee's only played the Music City Bowl 3 times, whereas, I mean, Tennessee played in the Gator Bowl as early as like the 1950s, right? The Gator Bowl's been around forever. Music City Bowl, Tennessee appearances 3 times, 1-2 in those meetings. Now, there's always been some type of drama. There's always been something historic in these meetings, right? And let's go to the least most historic or drama-filled game, and that was the last time Tennessee was in Nashville for a bowl game, for the Music City Bowl. Tennessee fell in heartbreaking fashion, 48-45. If you guys remember, that was Jalen Wright being stuffed to the goal line on 4th and goal in overtime. Video replay shows maybe there was missing something. Of course, Tennessee also had an offensive player that was pulling him in the end zone. Technically, that's a penalty. But after video review, it was upheld. It was said that Jalen Wright did not cross the plane. Again, there's many that dispute that still to this day. He was distraught. And honestly, I feel like that was one of those plays where it really just motivated him to get bigger, faster, and stronger. And I'm not saying it was that play that changed his career, right? But he was not the same back moving forward. He was a true freshman that year. He was like the 3rd back in that system, and he was small. And he left Tennessee 2 years later thick and putting on a lot of muscle, and obviously produced at a high level in 2023, and that put him into the National Football League. But that one was very drama-filled. Again, went to replay, and Tennessee, it was upheld. Tennessee did not score according to replay, and that allowed Purdue to kick a field goal when they got the football back to win it in overtime, 48-45. The time before that was back in 2016, and Tennessee had defeated Nebraska 38-24. Joshua Dobbs, he counted for over 400 yards of total offense. Derek Barnett, here's the historic part of the day. Derek Barnett set the Tennessee's single-season sack record and the SEC sack record in that game with Tennessee ended up winning 38-24. 33 sacks in 3 seasons with Tennessee, 13 as a junior in 2016. He had 10 as a sophomore in 2014, and he had 10 in 2015. He entered the game tied with Reggie White for the Tennessee record, got the sack. That was actually late in that football game. I want to say it was the fourth quarter. Tennessee took a timeout to celebrate that milestone. So that was a historic game for Tennessee for the Southeastern Conference, and it was Derek Barnett that's broke a record, a long-standing record that was previously held by Reggie White for most career sacks. And again, Joshua Dobbs, fantastic in that football game. 291 yards. He had a touchdown 11 times. He rushed for 118 yards. Again, he accounted for over 400 yards of total offense. Tennessee, he finished the Tennessee career with 9,928 total yards with 85 total touchdowns. And that was Joshua Dobbs, his last game playing in a Tennessee uniform. So that game in the Music City Bowl, a little bit historic for Derek Barnett in the 38-24 win over Nebraska. Here's more controversy. If you dial it back to 2010, I remember I was at a buddy's house and I was watching this football game. 2010, I guess I was a junior in high school. I can't really remember. Yeah, junior. And Tennessee, coached by Derek Dooley, went to a bowl game. Tennessee thought they had won it, right? It was a, let's see. Yeah. Tennessee players poured onto the field. The referee announced the game was over. Derek Dooley and Butch Davis shook hands. The play was reviewed. It was North Carolina that was attempting to spike the football as time expired. The play was reviewed. They put 1 second on the clock, and that forced overtime. So everybody thought it was over. But after review, they say the spike happened with 1 second on the clock. North Carolina went on to win in double overtime. But in that overtime period is when the 10-second runoff rule was born. North Carolina, or actually because of overtime, it's why the 10-second runoff rule was born. North Carolina had too many men on the field when trying to spike the football on third down with the field goal team running onto the field in the midst of the chaos there at the ending. The penalty was enforced, backing UNC up 5 yards. But the 10-second rule now would have meant game over, right? Because they had no timeouts. So having that penalty enforced the 10-second runoff rule, that means the game would be over. So because of that fiasco, the 10-second runoff rule was created, and Tennessee would have won that football game if not for the chaos there at the end. Again, the 10-second runoff rule now requires 10 seconds to be taken off the clock on a penalty by the offense unless the offense has a timeout to use. Derek Dooley was quoted after the game by saying, just when you thought you've seen it all, you haven't. If you remember earlier that year in Baton Rouge, Tennessee had too many men on the field, made the stop, thought the game was over. Everybody was celebrating. Tennessee had upset number 12 LSU. Was it 16-14? I think it was a 2-point win. Yeah, 16-14. But Tennessee had too many men on the field, and so they wiped it off, and LSU ended up winning that football game. Dooley was again quoted after that game, after the Music City Bowl loss to UNC. I thought I'd seen it all at LSU. So all that because of a rule change resulted in a rule change. That was back in 2010. In 2016, you had Derek Barnett that took over the career sacks record. And then in 2021, you had again, it was upheld after review, but you had the drama at the goal line in overtime when Purdue appeared to have stopped Jalen Wright. I say appeared, I mean they did on the stat sheet, of course. Stopped Jalen Wright. They went on to kick a field goal there to win. In overtime, if you remember as well, Aiden O'Connell threw for like 400 yards in that game. It was not very good. So what's going to be in store this go-around for Tennessee and the Music City Bowl? Will there be opt-outs? What will this team look like? All those are storylines that we're going to be tracking all throughout the month of December. But Tennessee has its opponent. It's the Fighting Illini of Illinois, Bret Bielema. That's coming up on Tuesday, December the 30th, 5:30 Eastern Time at Nissan Stadium in Nashville, Tennessee for the Music City Bowl, and we'll talk more about that as the month progresses. But obviously, Tennessee, always something drama-filled in that bowl game. Will it be the same this year? We will find out as all that unfolds later at the end of the month. Hey, when we come back, I'm going to give my thoughts on the college football selection process, the committee, and the brackets. Boy, oh boy, is it a mess. All that and more coming up next right here on Locked On Vols. Stay tuned. The holidays come with two big goals: feeding people well and finding gifts that they actually love. And when you want both handled in one move, Omaha Steaks is the way to go. From hosting to gifting, they deliver the world's best steak experience right to your door. Because during their Sizzle All the Way sale, you can stock up and save in a huge way. 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. And it gets even better. Locked On College listeners get an extra $35 off when you put in that promo code COLLEGE. Promo code COLLEGE at checkout. Omaha Steaks, I've used this as a gift before. I've given it to my parents, my in-laws, some friends, and honestly, it's super easy on my side, especially for those that I know love to cook, love to grill, and they've got great tasting meals for the rest of, a couple of different times throughout the year or the next couple of months, depending on how much they cook. They're so great tasting. It's not just burgers or steaks as well. I mean, they've got comfort food, they got desserts, they've got sides, they've got, of course, the fillets, the burgers. I mean, they've got something for everyone, and it's a holiday magic made easy, and you can order by 6 p.m. Eastern time, and it ships that same day. 6 p.m. Eastern time, it ships that same day. So I've been needing to do this last couple of weeks. I'm certainly going to order some people some Omaha Steaks with this incredible deal. Incredible deal. OmahaSteaks.com, 50% off site-wide during their Sizzle All the Way sale, plus an extra $35 off. Put in that promo code COLLEGE at checkout, and an additional $35 off. Terms apply. See site for details. That's OmahaSteaks.com. Promo code, well, that's COLLEGE. All right, we got a final segment left here of this Monday morning Locked On Vols. Tennessee is not in the college football playoff field. We know this. Tennessee was in it last year, and if some of the adjustments would have happened for last year like it was for this year, Tennessee would have hosted a home playoff game last year. Would have been against SMU, and who knows who wins that football game. Again, shoulda, coulda, wouldas, right? Well, Tennessee's not in the field this year, but moving forward, man, they've got to make some adjustments, and this is some bigger picture conversation. And I'm going to make some people mad here. This has nothing to do with Tennessee or anything like that. But this is just where we are in the college football playoff conversation because it's so flawed. It is so flawed. Quickly, you look at the brackets. You've got top overall seed Indiana, Big Ten champion. Number 2 seed is Ohio State, who it beat just narrowly the other night on the Big Ten championship game. Number 3 is SEC champion Georgia. Number 4 is Texas Tech, who took down BYU in convincing fashion in the Big 12. 5th seed is Oregon, again, an at-large from the Big 10. 6th seed is Ole Miss from the SEC. 7th seed is Texas A&M, SEC. 8th seed is Oklahoma, SEC. Those teams, Oregon, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M, will be hosting first-round games. Of course, Tech, Indiana, Georgia, Ohio State, they get a first-round bye because, of course, they were 4 of the highest-ranked 5 conference champions. Seed 9 goes to Alabama, who will be on the road. Rematch against Oklahoma. What's going to happen there? Oklahoma's kind of got Alabama's number here lately. What's going to happen there? 10th seed's going to be Miami, who gets into the field. We'll go to Texas A&M, and Texas A&M's lone. It's weird to say this. I mean, Tennessee had a pretty easy SEC schedule. A&M had the weakest SEC schedule until it played Texas. That's going to be quite the battle there, the Hurricanes and the Aggies. You got Tulane that's going to be at Ole Miss. A rematch of a regular season outcome that went all Rebels' way. And James Madison, who sneaks into the field, is going to be at Oregon, and that game is going to be on prime time, which is pretty interesting there. So first and foremost, I can go a number of different ways in this conversation. But here's where I'm going to start. It's made for TV. It's made for TV. Like, should we explore not going on television and sitting in front of a camera and answering questions from reporters and talking on ESPN to validate the way that you, college football playoff chair, ranked your teams in each week's rankings? Like, we need to do away with that because it's nothing. Like last year, the criteria changed every single week. And all throughout the entire month of November, it was Notre Dame ahead of Miami. So when both teams didn't play this past weekend, why is it now? And it's the correct call, okay? It is the correct call to put Miami in over Notre Dame. But why all of a sudden is it now? Why now is the time to put Miami in over Notre Dame when you could have done it any other week in November? Makes no sense. Makes absolutely no sense. Makes no sense. Again, that's the correct thing to do. Okay? But why now? Why didn't you do it Tuesday? Why didn't you do it last Tuesday? Oh my gosh, it's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. Okay, where do I go to next? Where should I go to next? Alabama got waxed. Alabama absolutely got demolished. Got its butt handed to them. Okay? Alabama does not move at all in the rankings. Okay? Georgia's obviously a good football team. BYU gets absolutely smoked by Texas Tech. We're viewing Alabama in a different light than we're viewing BYU. And do I think Alabama's a better football team than BYU? Yes, I do. But also, look at the criteria. Ty Simpson's not played his best football last couple of games. Alabama as a team has not played its best football in the month of November and now December. So a lot of these talking points the committee uses to prop up the teams it wants to prop up is actually fighting against Alabama. And it's interesting. Again, I'm not saying that all these were the wrong reasons, but you go back and look at the history of the CFP, and boy, oh boy, it doesn't matter who the committee is. It doesn't matter who the chair is. And they're propping up Alabama. 2022. All they could. 14 playoff back then. They did all they could to get Alabama in the field. They just missed out. But they put them ahead of Tennessee in the end, and they had them finishing 5th when Tennessee beat them in head-to-head. Make that make sense for me. It does. In 2023, the committee put Alabama in over a 13-0 Florida State team. And we can debate this until the end of time. There's going to be some people that say, well, in a 14 playoff without your starting quarterback, boy, Florida State looked like crap. That was probably the best move. There's going to be other teams that says, there are going to be other people that say, how in the world can you leave out 13-0 FSU who won the ACC from the CFP? How in the world can you do that? Like, that is such a split, divisive issue, okay? But it favored Alabama that year. Favored Alabama. 2024, Alabama, again, they did all they could to put them in the field. Just couldn't quite make it work. If SMU would have been blown out in the ACC championship game to Clemson, Alabama would have probably jumped them in the field and gotten in. But they couldn't because SMU only lost. That was a dream come true for the committee there in that game last year because SMU lost by a field goal. This year's Alabama team, not playing its best football, has the worst loss of any team in the field. Again, 5-7 Florida State. They just got drilled by Georgia. They lost another game in November. I don't quite get it. I'm not saying Alabama is not deserving to be in the field, but Alabama, they got a lot of friends on that committee. Doesn't matter the year. That's all I got to say about that. Obviously, also conference championship games. Do they matter? No. They didn't matter to Alabama. Certainly matter to BYU. Just do away with them. There's so many other points I can make in this, but this is probably my biggest point, and I'm saving it till the end because, again, this is going to make a lot of people mad. I don't really care. It has nothing to do with Tennessee. I'm just talking about what's wrong with the college football playoff selection process. We have got to do away with the automatic qualifier for the group of 5. Yes, I understand that, every now and again, someone can beat someone, right? The big one from my childhood was Appalachian State. Appalachian State beat Michigan. That was huge, right? That was huge. And there's been other situations like this before. Okay, I understand that. But guys, no group of 5 team is going to win a national championship. Say you do get by and you win in round 1. You ain't winning in round 2. And I've read article after article the last couple of days, and people like me that are bashing this automatic qualifier for the group of 5 and going up against it and saying, trying to defend Boise State's loss, a game that was closer than the final score indicated. You lost 31-14. Shut your mouth. Like 31-14. Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness. We've got to do away with the automatic group of 5 qualifier, and we've got to do away with the the 5 highest ranked conference champions. Because again, good for James Madison. You are taking advantage of the system. Good for James Madison. I am not bashing James Madison. I am not bashing Tulane. Good for you. Right place, right time. Good football teams taking advantage of the situation that's in front of you. But guys, fact of the matter is, okay, you've got a James Madison team that comes in at number 24 in the college football playoff rankings. You have a Tulane team that comes in at number 20 in the college football playoff rankings, and you have teams like Notre Dame, who I think needs to join a conference and grow up and play big boy football. But teams like Notre Dame that would beat the crap out of either one of those teams, not making the field. BYU that would beat the crap out of both of those teams, not making the field. Texas that would beat the crap out of both those teams, not making the field. Vanderbilt that would beat the crap out of both those teams, not making the field. We are wasting everyone's time trying to be nice. Everybody gets a participation trophy. Blue ribbon, everybody. We're all friends. We're wasting everyone's time. And again, good on James Madison, good on Tulane. They are taking advantage of the opportunity presented. It was always that case. Tulane was going to get in. If Duke were to have beaten Virginia, James Madison was going to get in, right? Because Duke, even though Duke, the ACC did all they could to prop up Duke, and with that little graphic on Saturday night, which was just hilarious, an 8-5 football team, give me a break, right? James Madison was there to take advantage. But if you had a group of 5 playoff, you would have some type of seeding like this, right? You have 5 conference champions get in, 3 at-large bids. Like 1 through 8 seeding, like a Tulane, James Madison, Kennesaw State, what up, Jerry Mack? Boise State, Western Michigan, North Texas, okay, Tulane beat North Texas, Navy, USF, what up, Alex Golish? He's now at Auburn, but like that's what that would look like if we had a G5 playoff system of 8 teams, right? 5 conference champs, 3 at-large. How much fun would that be? Again, it's the structure, okay? Like, I'm not saying that the committee got it wrong getting Alabama in or that Miami flip-flopping with Notre Dame. I'm not here to debate those things right now. I'm here to debate the stupidity of the committee that has it one way for the entire month of November, and then, oh, hey, on December the 7th, we're just going to all of a sudden decide that head-to-head matters and flip-flop Notre Dame and Miami. Do you think anybody will notice? Do you think anybody's going to call us out on that? Nah, man, just run with it. Not just run with it. Stupid. And we need to do away. We've got to do away with the automatic G5 berth. Nobody's winning national championship. Okay? Cincinnati got drilled when it made the 14 playoff. Boise State wasn't doing anything last year. Okay? We got to do away with it. We're not all friends here. Okay? It's football. We're here to play football games. Okay? Nobody's winning a national championship from a group of 5. And that's going to offend people and that's going to upset people. But it is what it is. That's my 2 cents. Tennessee's not even in this conversation. That's just my 2 cents on where we are in terms of the college football playoff committee. I hope that they make adjustments to this moving forward, but they won't. And guys, I'm telling you, Ole Miss is going to beat Tulane by 21 points again. James Madison is going to lose to Oregon by 30. Guess we'll find out. Is that too mean? I'm not trying to be mean, but it just is what it is. That's just my 2 cents, and nobody cares what I have to think. So like, if you're still listening, you're one of the few, and you probably disagree with me. That's fine. Let me know at _Cainer and at Locked On Vols. All right. Thank you so much for being here, making Locked On Vols part of your morning routine, your first listen, your first watch each and every single day. We are a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcasting network out there. Let's come back tomorrow. Send in your questions, your comments, your concerns at _Cainer and at Locked On Vols. This has been Locked On Vols. Appreciate you guys.